Cat Valentine may seem sweet and innocent, but both she and her mysterious brother have been involved in several questionable and sometimes outright criminal activities throughout their lives. While Cat's quirky personality and absent-minded nature often make her antics seem harmless, a closer look reveals a history of reckless, illegal, and occasionally dangerous behavior. Meanwhile, her infamous brother, though rarely seen, has an even more disturbing track record, with bizarre, unsettling, and sometimes felonious actions that have led to police intervention, public bans, and possible criminal investigations. Some of these crimes they have openly admitted to, sometimes without even realizing the severity of their actions, while others have been witnessed firsthand by their friends and acquaintances. Despite their eccentric reputations, many of these incidents have serious legal implications, ranging from minor infractions to felony-level offenses. If authorities were to thoroughly investigate their past actions, they would likely face multiple criminal charges, fines, or even imprisonment for their behavior. Now, let's take a quick look at their most shocking, outrageous, and legally questionable moments, breaking down every law they've broken, every crime they've committed, and just how much trouble they should be in.
When my brother was little, he used to have a Tinkle-Aid stand. He'd sit there all day yelling, "Tinkle-Aid, 25 cents a cup!"
I hope you mean he had a lemonade stand.
No.
If Cat's brother had a Tinkle-Aid stand, and it wasn't lemonade, the name strongly suggests that he was selling a questionable or potentially disgusting liquid to people. Depending on what he was actually selling, these are the possible crimes he could have committed. If he tricked people into thinking they were buying lemonade or another safe drink, but it was actually something else, especially something gross or unsanitary, he could be charged with fraud or false advertising. Selling food or drinks under misleading conditions is illegal in most places. If the drink contained anything unsafe, unsanitary, or harmful, he could be guilty of food tampering, which is a serious felony in most jurisdictions. If the drink contained urine, which Tinkle-Aid suggests, or any other bodily fluid, the crime could escalate to biological contamination, which carries even harsher penalties. Selling homemade drinks without proper health inspections or permits is illegal in many places. If he was selling an unregulated and potentially hazardous liquid, he could be fined or shut down by health authorities. If anyone actually drank Tinkle-Aid and got sick or was exposed to a harmful substance, he could be charged with reckless endangerment. If it was biological waste, like urine, or contained bacteria, he could be violating public health laws. If he was charging money for something unsafe, he could be held responsible for distributing contaminated food or beverages. Many states have strict laws about selling anything that could pose a health risk. If Tinkle-Aid was literally urine-based, this could fall under indecency laws, which prohibit the distribution of bodily fluids in a public setting.
The police found a weird stain on the seat of my brother's car.
What kind of stain?
They don't know yet. They're taking the car seat down to the lab.
If Cat's brother had a weird stain in his car that had to be sent to a lab for analysis, this strongly suggests that authorities suspected the stain was biological, hazardous, or linked to a crime. Here are the possible crimes he could have committed, depending on what the stain was. If the stain was related to a crime, such as blood, bodily fluids, or a toxic substance, and he tried to clean or hide it, he could be charged with tampering with evidence. Destroying, altering, or concealing evidence that could be used in an investigation is a serious felony. If the stain was a toxic, flammable, or illegal substance, he could be charged with unlawful possession of hazardous materials. Transporting or storing certain chemicals without a permit can lead to criminal charges or heavy fines. If the stain was bodily fluids, blood, or decomposed organic matter, he could be violating public health and safety regulations regarding biohazard disposal. Failing to properly clean or report a biohazard can lead to legal consequences. If he was transporting something questionable in his car, such as blood, organs, or unknown biological substances, he could face serious charges. Many states have strict regulations on the handling and disposal of biological materials. If the stain was human or animal blood, authorities would likely investigate whether he was involved in a violent crime, such as assault, homicide, or animal cruelty. The fact that it needed lab testing suggests it was suspicious enough to warrant a forensic analysis. If the stain came from an animal-related incident, such as roadkill, hunting, or illegal disposal of remains, he could face charges for improper handling of animal remains.
One time, my brother found a vacuum cleaner in our church basement. He took it home, and now he keeps it in his room.
You should call the church and tell him he has it.
Oh, they wouldn't want it back.
If Kat's brother took a vacuum cleaner from a church basement, and Kat implies that the church wouldn't want it back, suggesting he did something disgusting or inappropriate with it, he could be committing several crimes, depending on the circumstances. Here are the most likely offenses. If he didn't have permission to take the vacuum, he stole it. Since the vacuum belonged to the church, this would be theft from a place of worship, which some jurisdictions treat more seriously than a regular theft. If the vacuum was valuable, this could escalate to grand larceny, felony. If he didn't personally steal the vacuum, but took it home knowing it wasn't his, he could still be charged with possession of stolen property. If Kat was aware of the theft, she technically could be an accessory after the fact, though this wouldn't likely be enforced in a minor case like this. Since Kat implies that the church wouldn't want it back, this suggests her brother damaged, defiled, or altered the vacuum in some way. If he broke it, contaminated it, or made it unusable, he could be charged with vandalism or destruction of property. If the damage was intentional, this could increase the severity of the charge. If he did something unsanitary, disgusting, or inappropriate with the vacuum, he could be guilty of public nuisance or disorderly conduct. If his actions were of a highly inappropriate nature, which the joke implies, he could even face indecency charges if his actions were discovered or reported. In some areas, stealing from a church or religious institution carries harsher penalties than standard theft. If the vacuum was used for church maintenance, he could face enhanced penalties for stealing from a community organization.
One time, my brother went to a home for troubled girls.
Why?
To meet troubled girls.
You know, bus stations are good for that.
If Kat's brother went to a home for troubled girls just to meet troubled girls, he could be committing multiple crimes, depending on his intentions, actions, and how he got inside. Here are the most likely legal issues. If he wasn't invited or had no legitimate reason to be there, he could be charged with trespassing. Homes for troubled youth are often restricted access facilities, meaning unauthorized entry could lead to criminal charges. If he was lurking around the facility without permission, he could be charged with loitering, which applies when someone remains on or near private property without a lawful reason. Loitering near a facility for minors, like a group home, is often viewed as suspicious and illegal. If he approached, followed, or repeatedly tried to interact with the girls in a way that made them uncomfortable, he could be charged with harassment or stalking. Many states have laws protecting minors and vulnerable individuals from unwanted advances or predatory behavior. If he tried to establish inappropriate relationships with the residents, the charges could escalate. If he snuck into the facility or forced his way inside, this could be considered breaking and entering. If he entered under false pretenses, like pretending to be a staff member or volunteer, he could also be charged with fraudulent entry. If the troubled girls were minors and he was trying to meet them for inappropriate reasons, he could be charged with attempted child luring. Any attempt to form a relationship with minors in a setting like this would be heavily scrutinized legally.
Oh, it's my brother. He says he got you the clown costume, the power drill, and 12 gallons of blood.
Where'd you find 12 gallons of fake blood?
You wanted fake blood? I'll go call my brother.
If Kat's brother obtained and gave Kat and Jade 12 gallons of real blood instead of fake blood, he would be committing multiple serious crimes in real life. Here are the potential legal charges. In most countries, selling, distributing, or obtaining human blood without proper authorization is highly illegal. The collection, storage, and transfer of blood is heavily regulated by health organizations, like the FDA in the US. If Kat's brother obtained the blood without proper medical procedures, he could be charged with unauthorized distribution of biological materials, which is a felony. If he stole the blood from a hospital, blood bank, or medical facility, he could be charged with theft or even grand larceny, depending on the value. Since large amounts of human blood are considered medical property, stealing it could be a major crime. Human blood is classified as a biohazardous material and is strictly regulated due to the risk of disease transmission, like HIV or hepatitis. Improper handling, storage, or transportation of biohazard materials could lead to serious criminal charges under public health and safety laws. Some jurisdictions have laws against possessing human bodily fluids without medical, scientific, or legal authorization. If the blood was illegally obtained, he could be charged with unlawful possession of human remains. If Kat and Jade specifically asked for fake blood and he knowingly gave them real blood, this could be considered fraud or misrepresentation. While this wouldn't be a major crime, if harm resulted, it could add to his legal trouble. In extreme cases, trafficking of human bodily fluids could be investigated under human trafficking laws, though this would depend on how he obtained the blood.
Guys, have either of you seen Jade? She's trying to kill me. We were hanging out last night and she asked me to do her eyebrows.
Why are you so mad at Kat?
When Kat accidentally waxed Jade's eyebrows completely off, this could be considered a crime, depending on the circumstances. Here are the potential legal charges. Battery occurs when someone intentionally or recklessly touches another person in a harmful or offensive manner. Even though Kat didn't mean to remove all of Jade's eyebrows, the act of applying wax and ripping them off completely could be seen as unwanted physical contact that caused harm. If Jade didn't consent to the waxing, or only agreed to a partial wax, but not a full removal, this could still be battery. If Jade suffered pain, irritation, burns, or any other damage from the waxing, Kat could be liable for negligent injury. Even though it was an accident, Kat's carelessness in applying the wax could be considered gross negligence, especially if Jade experienced long-term damage, such as scarring or permanent eyebrow loss. Losing both eyebrows unexpectedly could cause someone serious embarrassment and emotional distress. If Jade was traumatized or humiliated by the incident, she could potentially sue Kat for intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress. If the waxing damaged Jade's skin, such as burns, infections, or an allergic reaction, Kat could face reckless endangerment charges. Even though waxing isn't usually dangerous, using it improperly and causing harm could be considered reckless behavior.
North Star, how can I assist you? Are you injured? And your location is? Help is on the way. Thanks for calling North Star.
What was that about?
You know the new phone number I got last week? There must be a glitch or something, because lots of people who have North Star keep calling me.
Yeah, but how will the paramedics know to go help that guy?
Oh my God, you're right. I should call the paramedic.
If Kat got a new phone number that previously belonged to North Star and fails to send paramedics to people in need, she would likely be committing multiple crimes. Since people are calling expecting emergency help, and Kat knowingly does not redirect them to the proper authorities, she could be charged with obstructing emergency communication or interfering with emergency services. Many places have laws making it illegal to block, delay, or disrupt emergency response efforts. If someone needed medical help and didn't get it because Kat failed to redirect the calls, she could be guilty of reckless endangerment, creating a situation where someone could suffer harm. If someone got seriously injured or died due to delayed medical attention, this could even escalate to criminal negligence. If Kat pretended to be the North Star hotline, instead of just telling callers they had the wrong number, she could be committing fraudulent misrepresentation or false impersonation. Even if she didn't pretend to be an emergency responder, not correcting the situation could still cause legal trouble. Some laws require people to report emergencies if they are aware of one and can easily do so. If Kat knew people were in danger and did not attempt to call 911 or direct them to the right number, she could be guilty of failure to report an emergency.
One time I came home really late at night and my brother thought I was an intruder. So he picked up a big glass vase and smashed it on my head, which started bleeding.
While he may have acted out of fear, his reckless response resulted in serious harm. This would constitute assault and battery, as he intentionally struck another person with force, causing injury. Given that he used an object as a weapon, this could escalate to aggravated assault, a more severe charge that applies when a weapon or dangerous object is involved. Additionally, reckless endangerment would apply, as his careless and impulsive actions created a significant risk of serious injury. If authorities determined that he used excessive force in a situation that did not warrant it, he could also face unjustified self-defense charges or even negligence-based liability for causing bodily harm. The many questionable and often dangerous incidents involving Kat and her brother paint a picture of recklessness, chaos, and outright criminal behavior. Their actions leave behind a long list of illegal, disturbing, and sometimes unexplainable events. Yet with so many strange, unexplained occurrences, one can't help but wonder how many more crimes have gone unnoticed.